Welcome everybody to another episode from Go-Kart Academy with 893 Motorsports. Today guys, we're going to be showing you a deep clean session of your go-kart. Now, you probably want to go back to our other video on how to clean your go-kart after a practice session. When you clean your go-kart after a practice session, you want to make sure that you're cleaning the side pods, the rear bumper, front bumper, the frame, the axle, the rotor and the brake area, as well as the sprocket. Those are the areas that you want to clean after every session. But now, one of the things that we always like to do is we like to do a deep clean every month. So make sure that you go back to our previous video on how to do a cleaning of your kart after a practice session. That way you know how to clean that. And then from then on, you can come back here and you can see us do a deep clean on it. So what are some of the things that we're going to be cleaning on the deep clean session every month?
So Peter, we're gonna do, with the deep clean, we're gonna pull the engine off. We're gonna set that aside. That way that gains us access to everything around the frame. So a lot of oil and a lot of lube comes off of that thing. So just wanna make sure that we have 100% access to all parts of the frame. We're gonna go with the rear axle. We're gonna pull it out of the frame, set it aside, be able to have a better view of the carrier bearings and also everything that's kind of going on back there. We'll pull the wheels off and we'll make sure to inspect the hubs and the studs on the hub studs or the lug studs for the wheels. And then we'll kind of break the go-kart down almost to just the frame, but this just allows us to look at every part of the go-kart to make sure there's no cracks, anything that needs to be addressed, anything that's loose. Also gives you a chance to recheck everything when you go to put it back together and tighten it all back up.
Absolutely. And this is one of those disciplines that are totally worth doing. Not only the discipline of cleaning your kart after every practice session or every practice day, but also put onto your schedule that you need to take the entire kart apart. It can seem like a big job, and it is, but it's super important to make sure that your kart runs smooth and you have no major issues. There are a lot of things that happen when the kids or even yourself are driving a kart that you might just not know about or not see. And so a lot of stuff happens from picking up marbles to things that end up denting or cracking a part of your frame. There's a lot of things that you want to inspect, at least from an eye level.
Yeah. So let's get to it.
Yep, so let's show you the tools that you're gonna need for a deep clean.
Hey guys, we're gonna go over the tools that we'll need for the deep clean other than your WD-40 and your paper towels. So these are the actual mechanics tools you'll need. You'll need a 5mm T-handle or a regular Allen, a 10mm on an extension, a 10mm box end, a 17mm box end, a flathead screwdriver, an 8mm T-handle or regular Allen wrench, and a ratchet. To take the wheels off and some of the other stuff, we do use an impact drill, but it's not 100% necessary. You can do it with hand tools. So let's get to it. Hey guys, we're gonna sit here and take off our wheels so we can get to taking off the engine. See? So sometimes guys, we did like to use the impact gun or the impact drill to take off the nuts, but this one seems to be a little bit tighter than usual. My son probably put it on there and put it on the impact gun too much. So I'm gonna take a ratchet on a 10 and try and hold the wheel and take it off by hand. Yep, he did do that. So this one's gonna take a little bit of work.
A little bit of elbow grease. Holy smokes.
There we go. So I'll just make a note of it after I take this off and get the wheel off to look at that lug stud just to make sure he didn't do any major damage. And off comes the wheel. There we go. So again, like I previously stated, we made sure to look at this. This looks fine. He just got a little overzealous with the impact gun. So we'll kind of just thread that back on. Spins on fine. The threads are working. Yep, that one does too. And again, we're putting these back on here so we don't lose them again. We'll set the wheel to the side.
All right, so now we have all 4 wheels off. That way we have a better way of getting to the axle as well as the engine. So what are we taking off next?
Next, we'll be removing all the pods, or the side pods, the front bumper, and the rear bumper. This way we can inspect the holes that those are bolted in at, and also set them aside for cleaning.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
I think I'm just gonna, every time you talk, I'm just gonna smile really awkwardly at the camera.
Hey guys, so when taking off the side pods, you're gonna need the correct Allen wrench, which on this go-kart, it'll be a 5mm and a 10mm if that's the correct bolt nut size on the other side of your side pods where they're bolted on. Some side pods don't have any bolts in them, so if you just have springs on your go-kart, then all you need to do is remove those springs with some needle nose pliers. To get the rear bumper off, we're gonna use a 17mm box end, and on the front bumper, we're going to just pop up the clips, lift it up, and remove the front bumper. So let's get to it.
Now that we removed both side pods as well as the front bumper and the rear bumper, we're ready to take off the engine for deep cleaning.
Hey guys, next we're gonna go ahead and remove the engine. There's a couple tools you'll need. You'll need an 8mm for the engine mount. You'll also need a 5mm Allen for the side cover over the chain so you can slide the chain off. We're also gonna deal with a flathead screwdriver and maybe a pair of needle nose to take off the springs, the airbox, and the rear springs that hold the exhaust system together. After that, we'll go ahead and unplug all of the electrical connectors for this tag cart, as well as the throttle cable and fuel line going to the carburetor. So just make sure to be safe, and let's get going. So guys, we're here. We're gonna take off these springs that hold on the exhaust. These are actually a really nice spring setup because they have a handle. You don't have to have needle nose, but if you don't have these with the little finger pull, you can use a pair of needle nose to get those off. I like to set the stuff in the seat so you don't forget. Easy as that. Next, we'll come over here. We'll remove our plug for our EGT sensor. Make sure that's kind of tucked in out of the way. Next, we'll grab a pair of needle nose and we'll pull on these to get them off. So it takes tension off of the exhaust manifold so we can get them out. There we go. We rotate up, slide back, easily work it out. We're good to go. Set this to the side. Next, guys, we're gonna go ahead and remove the side cover on this Mini Swift. This will be done with 5mm Allen wrench, and just kind of easily slide this out. This way we can remove the chain without any problems. On these Iami Mini Swifts, it's gonna be 3 bolts. Depending on your application, it will be 4 or not even have a side cover. Some engines don't. Kind of let that hang there for a second. I like to set these bolts over to the side. I don't lose them. We're now gonna grab our 8mm and we're gonna loosen up. This is an Odenthal mount, so we're able to just loosen both these center bolts. To loosen up the motor to be able to slide it back and move the chain. Next, guys, we're gonna go ahead and remove the airbox from the engine with our flathead. We'll make sure to set this over to the side here. We're also gonna remove all the electronics as well as the fuel line. All these little connectors, make sure you have them, because when you go to pull everything else, when you go to pull your engine off, you don't want to pull any connectors. Use the 5mm here to undo the starter. And again, I like to put the bolt back in loosely so we don't lose it and we know what went there. We're gonna need a Phillips head as well to take this connector off. Make sure you don't lose it. Slide that out. And again, I like to take this and screw it back into here. So when we go to put it back on, we're not missing parts. So we're here about to take the engine off. So remember, we took the exhaust off. We removed all electrical connectors to the starter, to the coil, to the stator. We took the throttle cable off as well as the fuel line. We undid all the motor mounts. And we're just gonna lightly pick up the motor and slowly pick it up to make sure we don't have any connections. But here we go, we're gonna set this aside and we'll do another video about how to deep clean this thing. Hey guys, next we're gonna go ahead and remove the rear axle. For this cart, we're gonna need a 13 millimeter and maybe one more 13 millimeter ratchet. So let's get to it. We're gonna start off here on one side using the 13 millimeter box end wrench to remove these bolts that hold the carrier bearings in place. Get them loose. They are dirty, so that way you can spin them out with your fingers. You see all this, guys? This is all that grime and track dirt that you get from having lube deposited on the chain lube, deposited on the bolts, and then you get the grime from the track that will build up and cake up everything here. We're just gonna do this on this side and we'll follow the same procedure on the other. Hey guys, so we're just finishing up on the right side of the cart, taking all of our bolts and cover brackets and kind of setting them in the seat here. You can see that we have, this side is already loose, and you can see all the grime and everything. If you need to, when doing this, take a picture of how this sat in here so you remember exactly how it was. That'll help you when you go back to put it together. You'll have a picture to look at, to actually get it back together in the right way. So now we're gonna move over to the left side of the cart. And again, with our 13 millimeter, just slide everything, loosen everything up. Next, guys, we're gonna go ahead and remove the brake caliper from the back here. And that's kind of in contention with taking off these bolts. This bracket is attached to the carrier bolts. So we'll just kind of set that aside. Try not to scratch your cart. Next, we'll just lift out the axle. Here we have it. We want to make sure that we kind of keep it all in the same place. So when we go to put it back in, we can set it back in. But this will help us with cleaning and inspecting all of these carrier bushings to make sure they're not seizing or on their way out. And we'll go ahead and go around the entire frame and clean everything as best as possible.
All right, guys, so we have fully taken apart this cart in preparation for a monthly deep clean. If you guys remember, we started off with the side pods, taking those off, as well as the wheels. And then we took off the engine, and then we finally took off the axle. That includes the rotor and the sprocket.
Yeah, basically from now, we're just gonna break that down and clean it as best as we can in the condition that it's in. We're gonna go through everywhere around the chassis that we couldn't reach with these components on the cart and give it a full wipe down, inspection, make sure that we have everything tightened, and then we're gonna slam it all back together.
What's the cleaning liquid of choice for all of this?
So we're gonna use WD-40. Again, that sounds really bad when it comes to brake components, but W40, as soon as you hit the brakes, if it gets on the rotor, it will vaporize. You will never notice it. So yeah, I mean, W40 works great. It lubricates everything. It leaves a nice shine. It won't damage your paint and keeps things from rusting. So.
All right, so we're gonna clean all this up. We're gonna be cleaning the frame. We're gonna be cleaning the axle, the rotor, and the sprocket, and making sure this thing is clean as a whistle. Let's do it.
Yep, let's get to it. Hey guys, so we've pretty much cleaned everything down. We've wiped all the pieces on the frame down. We've gotten down to nuts and bolts where things are dirty and gotten all the grime and grease out of everything. Everything looks good. We've done a visual inspection. So now we're gonna walk over here. I'll show you what we've cleaned. We have gotten the axle, carrier bearings, axle bearing carriers cleaned up. Everything's done. Make sure all our set screws are good. And we're gonna put it all back together. So yeah, it's been good. And I think this project should last you, a good hour and a half to 2 hours. But in our current circumstances, if you have a little extra time, like a lot of us do now, it's good to be in the garage and hang out, maybe have a Corona, I don't know, and clean your go-kart, man. You'll find out about a lot of things that you want to improve, things that you want to retape or rescrew or change out bolts. It's just a good way to go over your go-kart, make sure everything's safe, and get it ready for the race coming up whenever you have it, or practice.
So thanks guys for joining us in another tutorial and workshop. In this video, we covered everything that you need to know about a deep clean every month with your kart. From taking apart the side pods, the front and rear bumpers, the axle, the wheels, as well as the engine. So make sure to review this video at any time while you're building your karts or taking them apart to clean. Thanks again for joining us. This is Go-Kart Academy with 893 Motorsports. Smash the like button, subscribe, as well as make sure that you join gokart.academy because we're gonna be giving away swag. We're gonna be giving away really cool stuff in the future coming up. So thanks again, guys.
All right, guys, we'll see you out there.